are getting a free ride at taxpayers' expense if they aren't making more than $150,000 a year. This is little more than a vote-buying plan hatched by a president in serious political trouble, and in my view, it's manifestly unfair and simply wrong. This is John McClure. Thanks for listening.
WDEV also serves the Northeast Kingdom at 101.9, W270BR Island Pond. The Brady Farkas Show is produced and funded by WDEV and the Radio Vermont Group. We welcome listener feedback. Email your comments to WDEV@radiovermont.com.
The teams you care about.
Mac Jones is good. That's not the question. The question is he good enough to win repeatedly in this loaded AFC?
The stories that matter to you.
If I'm Xander Bogaerts, I need three things in order to get over that insulting contract offer.
This is your home for New England sports.
Jason Tatum, superstar. Book it.
This is the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
What's up, everybody? Happy Monday to you on the Brady Farkas Show right here on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Full show tonight all the way up until 7 o'clock. Red Sox are in action tonight, but a late start against the Angels as they're still out west. Our coverage begins at 8:38. First pitch, 9:38. Michael Wacha against Noah Syndergaard. We'll talk about the Red Sox. A few things I want to point out from yesterday's game against the A's, and we'll also hear at about 6:30 from NBA Finals on ESPN radio broadcaster Marc Kestecher talking Celtics Warriors. You can get in on the Napa Morrisville, Napa Waterbury text line 802-585-3026 at your locally owned Napa stores in Waterbury and Morrisville. You can also get in on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and my Twitter account as well. So let's waste no time. Lots to say, people.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And here we go.
The opening thoughts on the Brady Farkas Show brought to you by Sticks and Stuff and by Swanton Lumber, Vermont's most complete locally owned home center with locations in Enosburg, Derby, Middlesex, St. Albans, and at Swanton Lumber. They're online at sticksandstuff.com. I am not just writing off last night's Celtics performance, but I am also not overreacting today. There are people out there that are massively overreacting to what we saw last night. I am encouraging you to not be one of those people. Yes, the NBA Finals are tied at one game apiece. And yes, the Celtics got blown out yesterday, losing by 19. Both of those things are true. But you went to the Bay Area hoping to get one win. And when you went to the Bay Area, you got one win. The Boston Celtics accomplished their goal. And would it have really made a difference if the Celtics had lost by 2 or by 19 like they did? I don't know. A loss still would have been a loss, and there are no style points for a closer loss. And believe it or not, for maybe the first time in history with regards to Boston or New England sports, I am agreeing with something that Nick Wright of Fox Sports 1 said. I know, a crazy reckoning for me today.
So listen,
Unbelievable.
It would have been the Warriors had to win this game. We all agree. Only 5 teams in NBA history have come back from 0-2 down in the finals. No team in NBA history has ever come back from 0-2 down, losing the first 2 at home. This was a must-win for Golden State. They won it. But if I were a Celtic fan, which I am not, but I wouldn't feel nearly as badly as I think most people are going to present it this morning.
You went to the Bay Area to get one game, and you got it. I am not going to overreact to what happened last night. The Warriors needed to win that game. They did. The Celtics needed to win one of the 2 games. They did. The sky is not falling. Again, I'm not going to write it off and dismiss it and say it's nothing, but the sky is not falling. You are now going home with 2 games on your home floor. And if you can hold serve at home in a way that Golden State couldn't, then you'd be one win away from banner 18. That is a great spot to be in. That is a great spot to be in. But if you're the Celtics, don't dismiss it. You can't write it off entirely. There were glaring issues last night that need to be addressed. The turnovers were a problem. The slow third quarter, again, was a problem. The lack of scoring depth was an issue last night. These are all things the Celtics need to correct. But this team has been correcting problems all playoffs long. When they got bullied by the Bucks, they found a way. When they got bullied by the Heat, they found a way. When Giannis or Kyrie or Jimmy Butler or Pat Connaughton or whoever went off, the Celtics have found a way every time to respond. I have to trust that they can do so again. The sky is not falling today. Instead, on this NBA Finals off day, I am looking at it positively. The Celtics are in a great position to come home, to hold serve, and to instantly put the Warriors right back on their heels. You need to actually execute it. You need to do it, but it's absolutely possible. If you told me the Celtics would have come back from the Bay Area tied at one game apiece, I would have signed up for it 7 days a week and twice on Sunday, and you would have also. You would have also. So when I see people out there saying, oh, the Celtics are in trouble or, oh, the Celtics are exposed, I'm not looking at it that way. Last night was bad, but you went there to get one game and you got it. You now are in a best-of-5 series of which you have 3 of the games at home. That's a great spot to be in. Game 3, Game 4, Game 6, they'd all be at home. This is what you want. Now, if we're talking about last night specifically, and you can get in 802-585-3026. That's the Napa Morrisville, Napa Waterbury text line. There's really 2 things to look at from last night. If you want to go down the runway of looking at last night's loss, there's 2 things to look at. 1 is the turnovers, and 2 is the slow third quarter. Like, that's what most of the conversation was about after the game, from those both inside and outside the locker room. Here was Al Horford.
It's something we have to fix, that we have to address. I don't know if, I know coaches talked about it, but, I have to go back and look at the film, look at the third again, look at the whole game really, but really look at the third. And we need to find ways to be better.
The Celtics were outscored 35-14 in the third quarter. What the C's did to Golden State in the fourth quarter of Game 1, the Warriors did to the Celtics last night in the third. It's the second straight game the Celtics have been dominated by Golden State in the third quarter. You cannot afford against this team to come out of halftime and start slow. You just can't. It's so cliche, but we often say that the first 5 minutes of a new period or a new quarter will dictate how, or the first 5 minutes after the second half will dictate how the rest of the game goes. It took a little longer for the Warriors yesterday than 5 minutes to get cooking, but they rolled for the last 5 minutes of the third quarter, and that was the game. Jordan Poole was excellent in the third. Steph was excellent throughout, and the Celtics came unglued. You have to find a way at halftime and coming out of halftime to maintain a sense of focus and a sense of urgency. Getting run out of the gym in both third quarters is not a winning formula. The Celtics fought back in Game 1, and resilience is a phenomenal quality, but it is not a quality you want to have to rely on. You'd like to, at some point, play from ahead. And the Celtics have not been able to do that in either of these third quarters. So the third quarter, that's one huge issue that does need to be addressed. The other is the turnovers. This isn't rocket science, people. You give the ball away. It's pretty simple. You give the ball away, you're going to lose more often than not. If I told you in baseball that your pitching staff was going to have 3 errors and 9 walks in a game, you'd probably tell me you were going to lose. If I said in football you were going to throw 4 interceptions, yeah, you'd know you were going to lose. The Celtics yesterday turned it over 19 times. Cannot happen. Cannot happen. And Ime Udoka knows it.
Turn over the ball, make teams, take teams out of scoring against us in the half court, gift them some baskets. But it was more of the same in that third quarter, to your point. Like I said, we had 11 for 18 points in the first half and then gave up 5 or 6 more in that quarter and kind of blew it open. And that hampered our offense as well. So for us, it was more, that's a disappointing quarter, of course. But the first half was just as disappointing, only being down 2 and not playing good basketball at all.
19 turnovers yesterday for the Celtics. It turned directly into 33 points for Golden State. The Warriors scored 107 points. 33 of them came directly off turnovers. Nearly 1/3 of the Warriors' points came off Celtics turnovers. When you give good teams those kinds of chances, they capitalize. They capitalize. Look at the rest of the game. Both teams shot 41% from 3. Both teams attempted and made nearly an identical number of free throws. The assists and rebound numbers were essentially identical. A lot of categories, big categories, were the exact same. They were dead even. But turnovers and points off turnovers, that's where the disparity is. That's where the game last night was won and was lost. 33 points off turnovers, 15 steals for Golden State. That's the Warriors scoring a lot of points, and it's 19 possessions. You don't even get a shot off if you're the Celtics. 19 possessions where you don't even get a shot off. Cannot happen. The sky is not falling today. Again, I'm looking at this very optimistically. 1-1, you go home now, and now you have home court advantage in this series. The Celtics are in the exact same position we ask every road team to be in. Come back 1-1. That's what we all want. So, in fact, not only is the sky not falling, I think the Celtics are in a great position. But if they want to remain in a great position, they have to figure out the third quarter woes and how to hold on to the basketball. Napa Morrisville, Napa Waterbury text line open, 802-585-3026. Max in Hartford. Brady, do you think the fact that both games have been blowouts are bad for the league? I mean, game 1 wasn't terrible for the league, right? A great comeback. I guess some people probably ditched out after the end of the third quarter. Remember, we had that texter last week who said they missed the Celtics comeback because they were so disenchanted with everything. I don't think game 1 was bad. Game 2 last night was not great for television. Like, I'm sure a lot of viewers left early. So, yeah, not great for the TV product to have them be blowouts. But at the end of the day, we're 1-1 in a best of 7. The series is close. Therefore, our interest should still be high. Like, it would have to be. The series has doubt and it has uncertainty. And that's what makes compelling sports television. Both fan bases today can make claims that they're in the better spot. They can make cases that their team is better. That makes this series very interesting. The ending of the first 2 games wasn't all that interesting. But by and large, I still think that this series is compelling because of all the uncertainty and all the doubt. Jake in the Northeast Kingdom on the text line. Do you think the Warriors did anything differently in this game to cause issues for the Celtics? Well, they clearly ratcheted up the physicality. That was led by Draymond Green. And the other thing that was different was Gary Payton Jr. played in this game. He didn't play in game 1. Iguodala didn't play last night. So definitely there was a change in the Warriors' personnel usage. Warriors also changed the way they guarded, right? They got Draymond on Jaylen Brown more instead of Al Horford, which we didn't see in game 1. So certainly there were adjustments made by Golden State. Turnovers, though, I mean, that was the biggest thing. The Celtics don't turn the ball over. They turn the ball over 10 times and get up 10 more shots and hit 4 of them. We're talking about a potentially different game. And you take away 8 to 10 points off turnovers from the Warriors, and now you've got an 19-point differential If you gave the Celtics 4 more baskets and the Warriors 4 less, we'd be talking about a game that's tied. And we'd be talking about a whole different conversation today. Turnovers is where this all starts. It is the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Remember when everybody was mad at Draymond Green for what he said at the end of game 1? Last night proved why I didn't have a problem with it. Draymond got everybody mad after game 1. Last night proved why I wasn't mad at him. I'll explain. That's next on DEV.
Do you enjoy grocery shopping? Are you 55 or older and living at or below the federal poverty level? Can you commit to volunteering 10 to 12 hours a week? Senior Companion volunteers form meaningful relationships with 5 or 6 people who want companionship and support. Deep friendships often result from the adventures that are embarked upon once you are matched with a senior. Our senior companions tell us that they look forward to their visits as much, if not more, than the folks they are matched with. They love what they do. Helping people feels good. They say they are not just friends, but feel like family. For more information about becoming a senior companion volunteer, please call the helpline at 1-800-642-5119.
On today's edition of The Adventures of Julia, brought to you by Vermont Tire and Service and Cooper Tires, Julia and her 2 pups, Charlie and Champ, have been making more frequent trips to the Northeast Kingdom to check in on Julia's grandmother. She realized that her VW Westphalia was showing signs of aging and it was getting terrible gas mileage. With the price of fuel so high, Julia realized she needed something that could comfortably fit the pups and save on gas. She found a great deal on a low-mileage Honda CR-V. Before she purchased it, she took it to Vermont Tire and Service, where they determined she needed new brakes and a new set of Cooper tires. They quoted a reasonable price for the repairs, and Julia was thrilled with her new Honda and grateful to the crew at Vermont Tire and Service. Charlie and Champ were loving the sunroof, too. Gear up and save big. Get up to a $70 prepaid Visa card when you purchase a set of qualifying Cooper tires. Selling Cooper tires and other quality brands at Vermont Tire and Service in Montpelier and South Burlington.
WDEV, Vermont's news station, is your source for up-to-the-minute news at the top and bottom of the hour.
This is CBS News on the Hour, your home for original reporting.
Special events.
My fellow Vermonters, good evening. I'm honored to speak with you tonight, to have earned your trust through challenging times, and to serve as governor of the state I love.
And breaking news.
Good afternoon, Lee Cattell in the Radio Vermont newsroom.
Vermont's news station, WDEV AM and FM, and streaming at WDEVradio.com.
How well does your garden grow? Tune in Saturdays at 12:30 for In the Garden with Peter Burke. Peter and co-host Joel Nashman give you 1 full hour of the latest news, helpful tips, and your calls to talk about what's happening in your garden. It's brought to you in part by Sticks and Stuff and Swanton Lumber. sticksandstuff.com. In the Garden with Peter Burke. Live Saturdays at 12:30. Hear the podcast anytime at WDEVradio.com. Make your opinion heard by texting onto the Brady Farkas Show at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show, right here on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Charlie on the Napa Morrisville, Napa Waterbury text line. What disgusted me was watching Steph Curry chewing on his mouth guard and then putting it in his hand and then touching the ball. Please keep it in your mouth, I say. Charlie, look, man, hey, it's gross. I'm with you, but sports is not a clean thing. Like, what exactly, I mean... Yeah, it is gross, right? Steph Curry chews his mouthpiece, then puts it in his hand, then puts it back in his mouth, then touches the ball, then high-fives somebody. It is gross. I'm with you there, but, like, the whole sport is gross. The whole world of sport is gross. Like, Steph Curry goes and stands next to Marcus Smart, who's guarding him. The two guys sweat all over each other. They breathe all over each other. You don't know what Marcus Smart has touched, and now he's guarding Curry, literally hand-to-hand combat there, and vice versa. Then they've all got their hands on the ball, which is touched by everybody. Then they've all got their hands at some point touching the bottom of their sneakers or touching the floor. I mean, the whole thing is gross. Not just so Steph Curry is one part of that grossness. How many quarterbacks, right? Every play, quarterback puts the mouthpiece in. Then the quarterback takes it out so we can talk to the receiver, talk in the huddle. The whole thing is gross. So I can't get up in arms about that. Yes, sports and men, we are disgusting creatures. This is just what happens. Charlie says, I concur with that. You're right. Thank you very much, Charlie. I'm glad about that. Okay. Last night and last night's game proved why I didn't have a problem with what Draymond Green said after game one. Remember on Friday, we played the Draymond audio where he was discounting Marcus Smart, Al Horford, and Derek White. Remember, they scored a bunch of points in game one. Draymond said this after game one.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll figure it out, watch some film. But, they have guys that put pressure on the rim. So you're going to have to rotate and help. And we'll have to figure out where our next rotation is coming from and do it. But, they hit 21 threes, and Marcus Smart, Al Horford, and Derek White combined for 15 of them. Those guys are good shooters, but they combined for, 15 out of 8. Where's Smart, 7.
So Draymond basically discounted those three after game one, and everybody got mad. Marc Dendero, who we spoke to on Friday, said that Draymond's comments, that he was an idiot. I didn't have a problem with them, and last night underscored why. Draymond Green's comments, they weren't mean-spirited. They were just the truth. Draymond Green felt that the performance from those three players, Smart, Horford, and White, was not repeatable. And last night showed you he was right. Al Horford had 2 points, did not attempt a three. Marcus Smart had 2 points. Derek White had 12. The trio that got you 65 points in game one got you 17 points in game two. Draymond wasn't throwing shade. Draymond was saying that they were confident they could find a way to limit those players. And they did. Now, if you are the Celtics, you need to readjust. You have to find a way to get contributions from those guys once again. They don't need to get you 65 points in total, but they cannot give you 17 points in total. Looking forward for the rest of the series, here's the number. Smart, Horford, Derek White, they need to get you at least 35 points. As a trio, that trio needs to give you 35 points. And whether it's 25, 10, and 0, or whether it's 12, 12, and 11, I don't care. But that trio needs to give you 35 points. Right? Celtics, that trio yesterday scored 17. I'm asking them to get 35. They were 18 points short of my goal. They lost the game by 19. So if they don't turn it over and those guys get to the 35, the Celtics have won that game. And I know it's not that simple, but when you talk about keys to the game, those three, Horford, Smart, and Derek White, need to get at least 35 points as far as I'm concerned. They have to be there. Like, they have to be in your box score in a positive way. Text line, Sam in Duxbury. Do you think the performance Golden State got from Jordan Poole is repeatable, or is it the same kind of issue where it's not repeatable, like Draymond was talking about? No, I think it's more repeatable for Poole. He's just one person, right? He's only one person to count on and not three. I do think the Celtics would still rather take their chances with him, right? Like, Poole went for 17. I could see him doing that again, but, they can't let Steph and Clay go off, right? Like, if the Celtics are going to win, I'd rather be beaten by Jordan Poole than beaten by Steph and Clay. You have to limit the impact of all three of them, right? Like, I can't have Steph going for 40, Clay going for 20, and Poole going for 20. Then you're screwed. But I think that Poole can do that again, but I'd much rather give him the chance to do it than let Steph go out and get 40. If you're looking for reasons for optimism moving forward, kind of on that note, the Celtics really have limited Klay Thompson. You know, we think of the Warriors as the Splash Brothers, but it really hasn't been that in this series so far. It's been the Steph Curry show. Klay Thompson only had 11 points in game 2, so Poole kind of replaced his expected production, but Thompson just hasn't been very good. He's 4 of 15 from 3 in this series. He's 10 of 33 overall in the series. So if you can keep him bottled up, the Warriors don't have as many answers. They're forced to rely on Jordan Poole. Jordan Poole is best when he is just their extra guy, when he is their X factor. If Klay is going to struggle, he becomes a must-have for them, and that's a tougher spot for them to be in. And that's a spot I want the Celtics in. So if you're asking me, why do I feel optimistic? Well, they've shut down Klay Thompson. And when you shut down Klay Thompson, you limit the answers that the Warriors have, and you put the pressure on Poole, which he can do it, but it's a lot harder to do it when it's expected. Another thing that makes me feel good about if I'm a Celtics fan is that Jason Tatum was a better scorer yesterday. 8 of 19, better than 40%, 6 of 9 from 3. He took 8 free throws. He was a much better scorer in game 2. Didn't impact the game as much because he only had 3 assists, but we have asked for Tatum to be a big-time scorer, and I think he needs to be a big-time scorer in this series for the Celtics to win. So good to see him go for 28. Good to see him shoot it with more confidence, hit shots from the outside. I'm not going to change my pick, right? I'm not going to be that guy. I picked the Warriors in 6. I hope that I'm wrong. How I feel about the Celtics today, though, is generally pretty good. Defensively, they've limited Klay. They've put more pressure to bottleneck the scoring on Steph and the rest of the Warriors. That's a good thing. And then also, Tatum now has shown he's had one game where he's been a playmaker, one game where he's been a scorer. Now he needs the game where he does both. Now he needs the game where he does both. And I got to think that he can do it. Tatum talked about kind of how the Celtics come out in Boston on Wednesday and win game 3.
Playing with a sense of urgency. I think human nature plays a part, and when you go on the road, obviously, you know, it's a tougher environment. I feel like recently we kind of relaxed at home, just, you know, whether we thought because we had home court advantage, you know, we came out a little more relaxed. So just having that sense of urgency, you know, knowing that we're at home, but, you know, that we need to play better.
Tatum's right. Celtics have slipped up at home in these playoffs, right? They lost game 1 to Milwaukee at home. They lost game 5 to Milwaukee at home, I believe. They lost games 3 and 6 to Miami at home. So this team does seem to band together well on the road. They got to be able to band together at home. They need to come out in attack mode on Wednesday. They need to come out in attack mode. Best of 5 series at this point. 3 of those games at home. Celtics are in a good position. Celtics are in a good position. Joe on the text line says the refs need to do something about Draymond Green. He's completely over the top. It disgusts me. Well, we are, you know, I want to do more on the officiating probably tomorrow, but we're going to talk with Marc Kestecher, the broadcaster for the NBA Finals on ESPN, and we'll talk to him a little bit about the Draymond thing. And if Draymond was over the top and if the refs are coddling him and all that, because I think that's a very interesting angle. We'll talk with Marc Kestecher about that coming up at, you know, about 6:30 or so. But what we're going to do is we're going to come back. We'll do the national news update. Then we'll come back. And I got to tell you about my trip to Lake Placid yesterday. I went to Lake Placid yesterday. It wasn't something that I wanted to do, but it's something that I did. And once I did it, I couldn't have been happier with my decision. What was I doing in Lake Placid, and how'd I do? We'll talk about that. That's next on the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, WDEVradio.com, and always streaming on the WDEV radio app. Actually, wait a second. I'm 30 seconds off here, apparently. So we don't go to break for 30 seconds. So, yeah, I played baseball yesterday. I play every Sunday, right? The men's league. Yesterday's game was in Lake Placid. I didn't even want to go at the start of the week. Could not have been more thrilled that I actually went. I'll give you the story on my performance and my trip to Lake Placid. That's next on the Brady Farkas Show right here on WDEV.
This is WDEV, Vermont's news station, owned and operated by the Radio Vermont Group. From the top of Sugarbush, 96.1 FM, WDEV Warren and Waitsfield, 96.5 W243 Barrie, 98.3 W252 CU Montpelier, along with our founding station, AM 550 WDEV Waterbury Montpelier, streaming at WDEVradio.com. 90 years of serving Vermont, the friendly pioneer, WDEV.
This is CBS News on the Hour, your home for original reporting.
I'm Monica Ricks in New York, where Governor Kathy Hochul has signed new gun control bills into law following massacres in Buffalo and Uvalde, Texas.
No 18-year-old can walk in on their birthday and walk out with an AR-15. Those days are over. You hear that? Those days are over.
In Congress, a bipartisan group of lawmakers say they're making progress on new gun laws, including expanded background checks and red flag laws. But all of this was in motion before the weekend, before 13 mass shootings, including one in Philadelphia that left 3 people dead. The DA's office there says several shooters were involved.
One of those individuals is currently in custody. The other individual is not.
In Britain, Prime Minister Boris Johnson survives a confidence vote from Parliament.
I'm Vicky Barker in London. There were roars from Boris Johnson supporters when the result was announced, but there are sobering tea leaves to be read here. 148 of his own Conservative lawmakers voted against keeping Boris Johnson as Prime Minister. Johnson's predecessor, Theresa May, survived a similar no-confidence vote with only 133 votes against her, and she was history months later.
Mexico's president is skipping a big summit this week.
In a blow to the summit, Mexico's president, Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador, says he won't go to Los Angeles due to what he calls the exclusion of Cuba, Venezuela, and Nicaragua, where the White House says democracy and human rights have been squashed. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre.
The president has to stick by his principle. He believes that he needs to stick by his principles and not invite dictators.
Leaders in Latin America have also suggested the summit won't have a clear focus.
CBS's Stephen Portnoy. In Minneapolis, 2 officers accused in George Floyd's death won't face trial till next year. Here's CBS's Jennifer Kuiper.
A week before they were due to go on trial on charges of aiding and abetting murder and manslaughter in the 2020 death of George Floyd, former officers Tu Tao and J. Alexander King are told that their trial will now take place in early 2023. Judge Peter Cahill says the trial will begin on January 5th. Judge Cahill has denied a motion for a change of venue, but has also said recent events in connected cases and the publicity surrounding them have created a reasonable likelihood of an unfair trial if it started next week. Jennifer Kuiper, CBS News.
Apple's making major changes to iMessage.
Have you ever wished you'd never sent that message at all? Well, good news. Now you have undo send, so you can immediately recall a recent misfire.
You can also mark messages as unread, and those updates are expected as early as this fall. This is CBS News.
There's always something new under the sun. CBS Mornings, weekdays on CBS.
5X480, Dayton B100 V-Belt, one of the many parts Grainger carries. It's also the item that helped Rob carry the day. The job was on hold, deadline fast approaching, but a quick search on Grainger.com and Rob found his part. And with same-day pickup at his local branch, he and his crew got the job done, safely and on time. Get supplies and solutions for every industry with real-time product availability. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
How long does it take to tackle a home project? With Angie, you could cross it off your list before this ad is over. Just tell us what you need, indoor or outdoor, repair or redesign, and we handle the rest, sending a top pro to get it done. You don't have to lift a finger, except to tap the screen or click the mouse. Plus, Angie is free to use. So bring us your next home project, and we'll bring it home. Download the app or go to Angie.com. That's ANGI.com to get started.
Australia's indigenous health is reportedly on the brink of collapse. Reporter Scott Maiman explains.
Zoos in Ukraine impacted by the Russian invasion will receive $50,000 in support from a Denver Emergency Wildlife Fund to provide the critical pieces.
Transportation and movement of food and supplies and veterinary equipment, all of the things required to care for an animal in the best possible way.
Denver Zoo President Bert Vescolani.
The zoo and aquarium field, we're collaborative. When someone's in need, we'll reach out to each other and help them out.
Stephen Kaufman, CBS News.
Rob Walton, whose father founded Walmart, is expected to win a bid to buy the Denver Broncos for about $4.5 billion. Forbes says it would be the highest price paid for an American sports franchise. Second-round bids are due today, but if that sale goes through, he'd be the second team owner in his extended family. His cousin's husband owns the LA Rams. Monica Ricks, CBS News.
Today on Hey Culligan, how smart is your water? Here's Tracy.
Hey Culligan, I think my water might be dumb.
Good news, Tracy. Your water's not dumb. It's just not talking to you.
You can make my water talk.
No, but the new Culligan Smart Drinking Water System can talk to your phone to tell you when your water filters need changing and help you meet drinking water goals.
Now that's some brilliant H2O.
You said it, Tracy, and we're already on the way. Let us help you out with a free in-home water test with the local Culligan water expert at Culligan.com.
Aw, you didn't have to go so all out for my birthday.
Yes, we did. Because birthdays are about showing your friends how much you care for them and how grateful you are for their...
There's a Jamie from Progressive. No, this is a great time. Progressive protects you 24/7. Oh, I'm sorry that happened. Jamie, can you hold on 1 second? I got to take this call. But remember, birthdays are about togetherness.
Contact us 24/7 on the phone, online, or on the mobile app. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Coverage subject to policy terms.
Think you know sports better than Brady does? Text in with your thoughts at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show, right here on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Full show tonight, all the way up until 7 o'clock here on the Friendly Pioneer, WDEV. I had to go to Lake Placid this weekend to play baseball yesterday. I initially didn't want to go to Lake Placid, but I got to say, I was so happy that I did. Yesterday was absolutely awesome, right? So I play baseball every Sunday, just about every Sunday. And I usually play one of our two games, and I usually just pitch one game and don't play the field and leave for the next game. But our games were in Lake Placid yesterday. Usually they're, in South Burlington or in Burlington. For the first time since I've been in the league, there is a New York team in the league, and the team is based in Lake Placid. So initially, I didn't want to go, okay? It's a long trip. It shoots the whole day. I only really like pitching at this point, so having to play both games now, I wasn't really into. We needed guys, so I was going to have to play both games yesterday. So initially, I was like, okay, I got to get up early. I got to leave at 7:15 in the morning. It's going to take up the whole day. What am I going to eat? I got to play both games. I'm going to be sore. So I was a real bundle of joy about this trip. But once I went and once we played, I'm so happy that I did. Yesterday was an awesome experience. Now, I've been to Lake Placid before, right? Like I've skated at the Herb Brooks Ice Arena. Jess and I went there a couple of years ago. So regardless of the fact that I've actually been to Lake Placid before, yesterday was a different experience, and I'm so grateful for it. I mean, this baseball field was right on the campus of the 1980 Olympic opening ceremonies. You could see the 1980 Olympic torch from our dugout. It was right there in, deep beyond right center field. We were playing immediately adjacent to the Olympic ski jump. Like, you don't get those kind of experiences every day to be around history like that. I mean, I was playing baseball yesterday in a place that held the Winter Olympics, in a place that may be the greatest upset in sports history has ever happened. I was in that town adjacent to those facilities playing baseball, and you don't get those kind of experiences, especially not at my age, right? Like I've played against some big time people before. I've played in some really cool venues. I've got some good stories to tell. But the older you get, you don't get those experiences anymore. They are fleeting, and you have to take them. And yesterday I took it. Against my desires, I went on this trip and played in both games, and I'm so happy that I did. To just be on the grounds, walking around and seeing everything and being around the environment, it was all pretty surreal, right? Like we're at our dugout, and right there beyond right center field, that's the Olympic torch. That's where the Olympic torch was held. In left center field, there is a track right there. And boom, that's where the Olympic opening ceremonies were held. It's incredible. There's the Olympic kind of viewing platform right along the right field line. You don't get to do that anywhere else. You're not getting that at Dorset Street in South Burlington, where center field is a playground in Cairns Arena. It's not happening. That's not happening at anywhere I've played ever in my life. And I got to do it yesterday. And the field was in great shape also. It was, I mean, seriously, I was thinking, like, we're going to go and we're just going to be plopped down in some grass somewhere. And it was an immaculate field. So the drive was beautiful. The scenery was beautiful. The field was great. Our team won a game. We went 1-1 on the day, so it wasn't a wasted trip baseball-wise. I pitched 6 good innings in game 1, played a good third base in game 2. I had a blast, and I am glad that I went. Marvin over in Essex Junction says, "How did you bat? Ha, ha, ha." Actually, there's a funny story about that, Marvin. It was pretty amazing. I had in game 1, so we played 2 games, right? I pitched and hit for myself in game 1 and played third and hit in game 2. In game 1, I had a double, an RBI double, just smoked to dead center field. My first at bat. I haven't hit regularly since I was like 15, so that's 17 years ago. And I hit maybe like 10 times a season in this league when we're short on guys only. So yesterday I go out, no batting practice, first swing of the day, first pitch I see, rope an RBI double. I'm hitting in the 8th spot of the order. I give us a 1-0 lead with a shot to center field. I get to second, and these guys don't know me from Adam. So all they've seen me do is go 1-for-1 with a smoked double. I get to second base. The shortstop goes, "Whoa, a pitcher who can rake. Gotta like that. Ha, ha, ha." I'm like, "Buddy, you have no idea. I'll never do that again in my life." And then the next time I come up, it's like I was 12 years old again. You know this feeling like when you're watching your kid's team play and a guy on the other team hits a ball well, and they're like, "Hey, back up, back up, back up." That's what these guys did for me. I come up the second time, and these guys from the dugout are all like, "Hey, center field, watch out. He's the guy who hit it deep last time." And center field takes like 5 giant steps back. I'm like, I haven't had this happen to me since I was like 12, where I come to the plate, and I'm a feared hitter all of a sudden because I hit this shot to center. There was no fence. So for as good as the field was, there was no fence. And the guys are all like, "Hey, man, if we had a fence up, that's probably gone." I'm like, I could have had a home run. Instead, I had to bust it out of the box to get the double. But it was a blast. Now, beyond that, I mean, I didn't get a hit the rest of the day. But, I think I had that double. I think I had 2 walks, a pop-up, and 2 strikeouts. So it wasn't all pretty. But first swing of the day, first pitch I saw, to go and pump a double to center field and then have everybody think I was good the rest of the day, that was a pretty good feeling. That was a pretty good feeling. Has not happened in a while. And, I thought this was so cool, too. So the team we played, based in Lake Placid, they only had 3 guys on their team actually from Lake Placid. Like, guys drove from all around northern New York to play for this team. Like, guys drove 2 hours just to get to Lake Placid to play on the team. Some of these guys got to drive 4 hours when they play in Vermont. They play in Vermont every other weekend. So they're in Vermont a lot. Like, I only have to go to Lake Placid once. They have to come to Vermont every other weekend. And these guys got guys that drive 2 hours just to get to that field, and then maybe need to go 2 hours further to get to play us. I thought that was remarkable. Like, pretty cool dedication that these guys want to play that badly that they're willing to come out from 4 hours to play in a certain game on a Sunday. If any of my sports television friends are listening right now, like, it's a free story idea for you. If you work at Local 22 News or WCAX or NBC5 and you are my friend, here's a free story idea for you. Like, how these guys, this team in Lake Placid gets players to come from 2 hours away to play for them, and then we'll drive another 2 hours to play in this league in Vermont. That's incredible dedication. You got to love the game a lot to be doing that. I was bitching and moaning about having to go to Lake Placid once in the season. These guys got to come to Vermont probably 5 weekends, and these guys got to drive 200 plus miles, 300 plus miles round trip in a day to play for this team, or probably don't get home until 11 o'clock at night someday. This is amazing stuff. That somebody out there should do a story for the news on this. I promise you, somebody should do this story for the news. I am hurting today, by the way. My arm always hurts after I pitch, right? I threw 6 innings. My arm always hurts after I pitch. But I got to say, damn. I thought position players had it easy. I really underestimated what it's like to be a position player because I am sore today. Standing on my feet for 14 innings yesterday, running the bases, that stuff's tougher than I remember. Okay, I was booking it from I went from second to third on a wild pitch, and I scored on this or that. I hit my double. I was huffing and puffing, and my quads are sore today, and my feet hurt, and I got blisters on my toes from my cleats for 14 innings. And like, hey, can I just go back to pitching next time, please? Just pitching? And go figure, tonight I'm playing men's league basketball. After the show tonight, I got to go to Essex High School. It's my first men's league basketball game in like the last couple of years. So we'll see how I'm moving tonight. I got a muscle roller with me. I got ibuprofen. I got capsaicin, Tiger Balm, my ankle braces. I got everything. We'll see how this goes. But I will report back tomorrow on how my basketball experience goes and if I'm even able to function at this game tonight. But yeah, Lake Placid was awesome. I highly encourage you that if your kid has any chance to go to Lake Placid to play a sport, baseball, softball, basketball, hockey, whatever it is, go with them because it was a lot of fun. And maybe we take Lake Placid for granted because, we all live near it and we've all been there before, and maybe it doesn't seem that special. It was pretty special. It was pretty special, and it was pretty cool, and it was an experience that I certainly won't take for granted. If these guys are in the league again next year, I will go next year with no complaining about the trip. I thought it was that much fun. So real quick, on a baseball note, I want to stick with baseball and talk about the Red Sox briefly. The Red Sox are now at 500. The Red Sox are 27-27. Through 54 games, through exactly 1/3 of the season, the Red Sox are at 500. Good for them. It has been a long road to get here. Here they are. They are absolutely now back again, re-immersed in playoff conversation. I want to say 2 quick things about yesterday's game. I give the Red Sox a lot of credit. Because yesterday would have been an easy game to kind of pack it in, wouldn't it? It's getaway day. You've already won the series. You got the other team's ace on the mound in Frankie Montas. Absolutely could have been a game where the Red Sox pack it in. They didn't. Right? Your goal as a team is to win every series. The Red Sox had already won the series. Getaway day, big series here against the Angels. Their ace is on the mound. Would have been easy to go quietly. Instead, they come out with 4 hits in the first inning. They instantly put the pressure on. They score a run. Rich Hill buckles down, retires like 16 in a row, and then the offense capitalizes with the Franchi home run late in the Devers home run. It's a game the Red Sox absolutely could have walked through, and they didn't. They found a way to grind, they got greedy, and they got the sweep. And as a result, they're back at 500, and they're making people notice again. And that is a very good spot to be in here a third of the way through the season. And I'm happy for Franchy Cordero, by the way. He looks like a real ball player now. He hit the ball hard yesterday. That liner to first in the first ball was scolded, and then the homer was absolutely crushed as well.
Overshift on again, the pitch. Swing and a high drive to the deep left center field. It is way back at the track, at the wall. Gone! Opposite field, 3-run homer for Franchy. And for the second Sunday in 2 weeks, the big blow for Cordero, a 3-run homer, and it's 4-1 Red Sox.
Liner to first was hit hard. That homer was hit hard, and it went opposite field. Like, that's the sign of a guy who's learning how to hit. Goes the opposite way. That's great stuff there. I give the Red Sox credit. I give Cordero a lot of credit. And then, two, I do quickly have to acknowledge Marc, the manager of the A's. I got to give him credit also. I credit him for leaving Frankie Montas in right before the Franchy homer. I know it didn't work out, but I credit him for leaving his ace in. If you recall, Sox had 2 on, no out. Verdugo gets out, Story gets out. Kotsay goes to the mound, talks with Montas, leaves him in at 98 pitches. I know it backfired, but kudos to him, because we need baseball to get back to having the starting pitcher really matter. And I appreciate a manager who lets his ace try to battle through it. Now, I get it. It's probably easy for him to do that. The A's are already out of it. They're not playing for anything, so it's not life and death here hanging in the balance when the A's play. A better team with better bullpen options in a game that matters, they probably would go to the pen. But I applaud Marc for giving his ace, giving his guy, giving his workhorse a chance to get out of it. 115 pitches, I probably would have felt differently, but 98, I was okay with it. Frankie, you got one batter. Go see what you can do. And I applaud the decision. I'd rather get beaten with my best than get beat with some lackluster bullpen arm, of which the A's have a lot of. So I was for it. I give credit there to Marc. Red Sox baseball coming up today at about, again, 8:38. So Jazz with George Thomas, 7 o'clock until 8:38. And then the Red Sox first pitch is at 9 o'clock. Quickly, let's get to who's saying what.
Whoa. What did he say?
Mac Jones. Good Lord. Mel Kiper's got to slow down on this. Mac Jones ain't going to work, folks. It's not going to work. He's got to come to terms with it. It's not going to work.
They really said that?
Every damn thing is politics and race, and I'm losing my mind over it.
It's time for Who's Saying What on the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Who's Saying What? Brought to you by Vermont Laser Wash. That's Central Vermont's home of unlimited car washes, where you can get unlimited car washes, again, $20 a month, one free car wash. Just text the word Vermont to the number 30 and then 400. Colin Cowherd had an interesting take on Jason Tatum today on Fox Sports Radio.
Jason Tatum is a star with a role player's confidence. He's averaging 20 a game. Tatum's starting to doubt himself. He was hot briefly early yesterday, but finished with the worst plus-minus of any player on either team. That's who Tatum is. Tatum verbalized it. He's not the confident star that we're used to, accustomed to in this league. Jaylen Brown has much more confidence. Tatum's just more gifted. And he is shrinking in front of our eyes.
How do you feel about that? Napa Morrisville, Napa Waterbury text line, 802-585-3026. How do you feel about those comments from Colin Cowherd? Because I find those comments to be extremely unfair. Jason Tatum lacks confidence. He has the confidence of a role player. No. I don't see it that way. Now, I think that Colin is seeing that when Tatum's off, he kind of defers a little bit more. Now, I think he takes that deference as lack of confidence. I take it as a sign of growth and a sign of maturity. When Jason Tatum is struggling like he was in game one, He tries to go and be a playmaker and impact the game defensively with his passing ability or with at least the ability to draw away the defense. That is what Ime Udoka has wanted from Jason Tatum. Hey, when you're not scoring, can you impact the game? So I think Collins sees him, kind of defer and looks at it like, oh, he doesn't have confidence. I look at it as a sign of maturity. Like, look, he could go out there and force up 28 shots and go 3 for 28 or 7 for 30. Or he could take good shots when they're presented and he could help the team the rest of the time. I don't look at this as, I think Tatum is a confident player and he has the ability to absolutely, unequivocally be an assassin out there. There's a reason he scored 46 points in Game 6 against Milwaukee in the second round on their floor. You don't do that if you have the confidence of a role player. Jason Tatum, 46 points on the road in Milwaukee. Role players don't do that. Jason Tatum directly took it to Kevin Durant in round 1. Role players aren't going at Durant one-on-one offensively and defensively. There's a reason why Tatum is always able to bounce back after bad games, because he does have the confidence in himself. He does have the belief in himself. Collins talking about, he was a little time where he was hot yesterday. He had 28 points yesterday. He was 8 of 19 from the floor. That's more than 40%. 40%, more than 40% from the floor is good. He was 66% from 3. That's confident. He got to the line 8 times. Now, he didn't impact the game as much as he did in Game 1 because he didn't have the assist numbers. So I'm not here to tell you that he was incredible last night. But this idea that Jason Tatum is not confident and is wilting before our eyes, I am absolutely not buying that. You go on the road, Game 7, and lead your team against the top seed Miami and win? Confident people do that. 46 on the road in Milwaukee, Game 6, keep the season going. Confident people do that. He's wearing the number 24 wristband, the Kobe Bryant wristband, in that Game 7 against Miami. He sees a little bit of Kobe in himself. What does Kobe have in him? A little bit of, actually, I take it back. Kobe has a lot of just killer instinct in him. Foot on the gas all the time. Step on your throat. Finish the job. That's who Tatum sees himself as. That's not a lack of confidence. He certainly sees himself as capable. Tatum has played well following bad performances time and time again this postseason. Look, Tatum's a little bit more reserved. He's not usually demonstrative, but don't mistake him being quiet more or less as a sign of him being timid. I do not think that Jason Tatum is timid. No, he does not stomp around like LeBron. He doesn't really flex all that often like Draymond. He doesn't give a scowl like Russell Westbrook. He doesn't have the pan look of, the death stare like Kevin Durant does. He doesn't shimmy like Steph. Tatum is not demonstrative usually. But don't take that for him not having confidence. He's certainly not timid. And I expect at home him to play well and him to fill it up in Game 3. I can't wait for it. I cannot wait for Game 3. That's going to be Wednesday night. We had Games 1 and 2 on WDEV of this series. We're going to have Game 5 on this of this series as well on WDEV. The guy who was sitting courtside for all these games, it's Marc Kestecher of ESPN Radio. Kesty is going to join us next. Remember, we spoke to him in the Brooklyn series, and I said to him, Kesty, I hope we're doing this again later this postseason. Well, that later is now. Marc Kestecher, the voice of the NBA Finals. What does he think of Colin Cowherd's assertion there? Does he think that Tatum has lack of confidence, or is Colin far-reaching there? I want his opinion. A guy who's seen Tatum a lot on the floor the first 2 games. Marc Kestecher, ESPN Radio, NBA Finals broadcaster. That's coming next on the Brady Farkas Show right here on WDEV, AM and FM, WDEVradio.com, and always streaming on the free WDEV app.
For 75 years, a single state